Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another review for The Mandalorian. Today, we're taking a look at Chapter 19, The Convert. So, we do pretty much start immediately after the last episode. Din, Bo-Katan, and Grogu are still down in the mines, but and Din wakes up because he's a big old klutz. I don't think I mentioned it last week, but I do find it hilarious how Din really has no idea what he's doing a lot of the time, and if it weren't for that fancy armor of his, he'd just be dead. He's just like, I'm gonna walk off the edge here without checking to make sure if this drops down, and he's gone. I just thought that was really funny. So Din finally wakes up, and he's like, "What happened? Did you remove my helmet? Please tell me I don't have to go down there again." And so, but no, that's not what he said. But Bo-Katan not knowing if she saw the mythosaur or not, I think that's really interesting. Because interview with Katie Sackhoff, she actually said that she's not sure if she saw it or not, and it's like that far down. It's dark. She's only got the helmet light. Is that really what she saw? Maybe it was a rock. So she asks Din, but he was unconscious, so it's not like he was really helpful in knowing if she saw what she thinks she saw. It didn't chase them out of the water. She's just kind of sitting on the edge of it like, okay, this is my life now. The mythosaur is real, maybe, or have I finally lost my marbles? Job's done. They've done their little Mandalorian baptism thing, and they're ready to go. So, they get back on Bo's ship, and they're flying away, and everything's fine and dandy until it's not TIE interceptors out of nowhere. So I'm wondering if the Empire still has like some proximity sensors around the planet or something. It's like, ooh, a Mandalorian has returned to Mandalore. We must immediately go and eradicate them. Or if that's just really lucky timing that Din decided to go and visit the mines of Mandalore and have to get rescued by Bo-Katan right at this particular moment, and the TIEs were on their way to bomb Bo-Katan's house anyway. I'm very curious about the timing of all that. Now, of course, the question is, who sent the TIE fighters? It's Moff Gideon. It's Moff Gideon. I feel like that's an obvious answer here, especially after stuff in the episode we'll get to in a minute. But a lot of people are saying Thrawn. I don't think it makes sense for it to be Thrawn. For starters, I saw a lot of people are going, "Oh, it's Thrawn, it's Thrawn, it's Thrawn." It's like, like what's the significance of bombing Bo-Katan's house from Thrawn's point of view? At least as far as we know right now, he has no quarrel with the Mandalorians as of right now. Now, some Mandalorians did kind of mess up his plans in the past. Some Mandalorians and some Jedi, but he was never ever directly involved with the war on Mandalore and all that stuff going on with the rebellion against the Empire on Mandalore and stuff like that. He assisted, he advised the Tiber Saxon and stuff, but he was never really directly involved. So I don't know what strategic purpose Mandalore would serve to Thrawn in this instance. Now, as an act of vengeance against the people that captured him, makes way more sense for this to be Moff Gideon's doing. I think it's going to be Moff Gideon's doing. Now, does that mean we're not going to see Thrawn in Mando? I could still see it happening, especially as a lead up to Ahsoka later this year. I could see that happening, where maybe Moff Gideon's been getting orders from Thrawn, who is a Grand Admiral, and I think would therefore outrank him? Question mark? I don't know exactly how that works, but Thrawn may outrank Gideon and might be the one giving him orders, or like the later at the end of the season they're gonna meet when they have some sort of duel with Gideon, who's definitely showing back up at some point anyway. So that's why it even makes more sense that it's going to be Gideon's having sent the TIE fighters and everything. And then like he escapes at the very end going, "I'll be back." Mustache twirl, mustache twirl, mustache twirl. And he jets away to the unknown regions, and then you see the very beginning of the First Order and all these old Star Destroyers and stuff, and it's like, oh, and by the way, have you met our very lost Grand Admiral Thrawn here? And he walks into the room, and it's Lars Mikkelsen in blue face paint. That'd be awesome. So, do I think that is possible? Sure, but do I think that Thrawn is the one that blew up Bo-Katan's house? No. The only way it could be Thrawn blowing up Bo-Katan's house, and those are his ships or whatever. Because I agree. Gideon, it was shown that Gideon never, at least as far as we were aware, never had TIE interceptors and TIE bombers. He just had regular TIEs and transport ships. I could see those maybe being Thrawn ships if Gideon made it back to this collective of Imperial remnants, and he's like, "Hey, Thrawn, buddy, could you do me a favor since I no longer have any ships?" And Thrawn's like, "Okay, fine, whatever. You're annoying. You and your mysticism. It's like it doesn't make any sense wanting to use midichlorians. You're so dumb thinking of trying to trust all this Force stuff." He's like, "Hey, you're the one that got captured by space whales, so." I can just imagine them being so petty to one another. It'd be hilarious. But yeah. So Din and Bo jumped away to hyperspace to safety, and then they later show back up at the Mandalorian covert, where Paz Vizsla and the armor and the rest of the Children of the Watch are. And lo and behold, that little sparkly thing in the water is the very specific Beskar infused water that is that can only be taken from the mines of Mandalore in the planet itself, because there's Beskar all over the planet. So that's a cool confirmation. It's one of those things like, oh yeah, that makes sense. We could probably have figured that out on our own. And I think a lot of people probably did, just through speculation. But yeah, Din Djarin is now officially a member of the Children of the Watch again, and now so was Bo-Katan. And I'd be curious to see how she's feeling about this next episode. And then of course, the zoom in on the Mythosaur skull, for still kind of doubting what's going on, trying to find a place in the universe again. And then that's the end of the episode, and nothing else happened. That is the whole episode. I'll see you guys next time. Bye. No, of course, with a bit of a ruckus of a response online, is that most of this episode actually has to deal with Dr. Pershing, which a lot of people were confused about. It's like, we knew he was coming back. He was in the trailer. We've seen Coruscant and stuff. But Dr. Pershing being a big feature of this episode. A lot of people are speculating that this is like an abandoned plot thread for Rangers of the New Republic, which is a show that's like not happening at all now because of Gina Carano and that whole situation. And so they're incorporating it into Mando season 3 proper, instead of making it be yet another side story that people have to go and watch. And even if we do get Rangers of the New Republic someday, it's going to be in a vastly different format, not at all like probably what was originally intentioned, which is too bad, because I really liked the idea of the kind of the basic premise of what we thought it was going to be. It's it's the Rangers of the New Republic. It's like these marshals and special forces, rebel soldiers, basically trying to keep law and order in the Outer Rim or whatever. So that just starring Cara Dune that just kind of seemed like an interesting premise to me. That could have been more, that could have been the gritty war show before Andor became the gritty war show. But that wasn't really the gritty war show. That was more the gritty spy show, I guess. So I guess Rangers of the New Republic could have been like the gritty war show. But anyway, so I don't know whether or not this was always the intention, or if this is an abandoned plot thing from that they're dragging into Mando season 3 instead. But I liked it. I really enjoyed it, because I've always been curious about who the heck Dr. Pershing really even is, because he had like 2 very brief appearances in season 1, and then he shows back up in season 2 a couple times. It's just a recognizable, oh, that's the doctor that operated on Grogu, and that's about it. And yeah, of course, absent from Book of Boba Fett. So yeah, So getting a little more insight into him, I really appreciated, and his backstory and stuff. And it's like based on how he acted in the season 2 finale, it's like, okay, this guy's not a hardliner Imperial. He really is just a big science nerd, and he's willing to kind of wave the flag of whoever will fund his research, but at the same time, he's not blind and he knows the Empire is evil. So he was never really happy working for the Empire, but they paid his bills and they let him work on some really crazy genetic stuff. So getting more insight into him here, and his want to help the New Republic, because they're the good guys, or are they? It's like, are there really any good guys? Because I think this was very telling, and it kind of and some people are agitated at this, but again, it's like, well, blame J.J. Abrams, because the whole reason it has to be this way is because of the state of the galaxy that The Force Awakens presents us in. We have to match up to that. So if you're irritated, go point your pitchforks at him, not Jon Favreau, or Dave Filoni. So it kind of has to be this way that, yeah. Here, the people that are in power, even though there's been a regime change, a lot of those same people are still kind of not in charge, but they're still in their positions of power. It's that one guy was like, oh, Empire, Republic, whatever. I can't remember the labels. And it's like, and that's very, oh boy, here I am. Here I am staring at controversy again, and that's very much what The Last Jedi was trying to get a little bit of a point across with the industrial military complex. And, people didn't like that. Which, I kind of understand, because that plot thread did seem a little meandery compared to the rest of the film. But, we're lining up here with similar ideas and kind of. And it's like, if over time we get, more material, and there's books and stuff, like there's the novel Bloodline from Claudia Gray that deals with Leia being a senator in the New Republic and everything, like a couple years before Force Awakens, and dealing with the rise of the First Order and stuff. That that's a really good novel. And that deals with a lot of the gray and the failings of the New Republic and why they got wiped out in the first place. So I mean, there has been some stuff, but I think we definitely need more stuff that really does start painting these, big gray pictures of the New Republic wasn't this great, awesome thing. It had its issues because it was, it was reactionary to the Empire, and unfortunately, it kind of went too much in the opposite direction, where the government was so little that it couldn't really respond to crises. I mean, the quote from the guy in the office in this episode, it's like, well, we're still dismantling the Rebel fleet. It's like, and to a degree, it makes sense to dismantle the Rebel fleet because those were never supposed to be military transports at all. They were all retrofitted, and it's like some of them definitely. I mean, like, an X-wing is a military transport, but M280Cs were like giant cargo haulers that the Mon Calamaris built, and then of course the medical frigates and stuff. They're medical frigates, and then the one I can never get past that I just think is hilarious is the Gozanti transports. Those kind of weird oval shaped things that have all the crates stacked underneath. They have no offensive capabilities whatsoever. They are, they barely even have defensive capabilities. They are literally just defenseless cargo haulers that X-wings or A-wings or some sort of starfighter contingent would have to guard them. And we see that in Rebels, where these TIE aces are absolutely murdering these Rebel transport ships because they're basically defenseless once the fighters are gone. So yeah, it kind of makes sense that you would decommission those in terms of serving in combat roles and or patrolling and stuff like that. But it's like, there's someone out there that could use an old Gozanti to transport cargo from one end of the galaxy to the other for refugees or whatever. So I did find the quote in general of "we're still dismantling the Rebel fleet." Oh, it's like not even decommissioning, dismantling. Like they were actually scrapping it all for parts to build the New Republic fleet. And we know that from the books and the comics and stuff that the New Republic fleet was this kind of big deal because they made some new ships that were like more powerful than Star Destroyers and stuff, and that was a big point of pride for the New Republic is that, if we ever were to be provoked into a galaxy-wide war by the remnants of the Empire, look at this defensive keyword there, defensive fleet we've built up and everything. But, big shiny fleet doesn't do much good against a giant laser that travels through hyperspace. So, you didn't think of that, did you, Mon Mothma? So, but who would? I mean, it's like, the Death Star is one thing, and that's why it's like, that really should have saved Starkiller for Episode 9 if they were going to bring Palpatine back the whole time. But it's the fact that there was no plan for the sequels. Let's just not get into that right now. The point is about this storyline that they're going is that it's all kind of to beef up the sequels we got. And to kind of help, provide a little bit more context for some of that stuff. So it's like, here's why the New Republic kind of sucked in some ways. But, what is it preferable to tyranny? Yes. But is it still 100% good? No. And and some of the people that are trying to join it are won over by the, idyllic ideas of, just, freedom in general. And they can be easily swayed, as we see here with Officer Kane, I'm pretty sure her name is, from Gideon's ship. And how she's very easily able to sway Dr. Pershing into doing exactly what she wants so she can entrap him and wipe his mind, presumably. I would say, that was such an obvious call, right? I can't be the only one that thought that Officer Kane still being loyal to the Empire was such an obvious call. Saw that coming from a mile away. From like the moment we saw her at the Opera House, I was like, okay, I wonder what she's doing here. Probably something nefarious. Because from what we saw of her in Season 2, she was very hardline, Imperial, rah-rah Moff Gideon is awesome. So to suddenly see her on Coruscant with all these New Republic people, it's like, That's not good. That's not good. And poor Dr. Pershing, because it's clear he's wanting to try to do good and everything and help out, but he's now just a data clerk because they won't let him really work on anything. And he was literally swayed to the dark side by cookies, which everyone's been making fun of online, but it is funny that she literally got him a box of square cookies. And that's what did it. And he's like, all right, let's break into the shipyards and steal the stuff I need. So, I did enjoy that the episode ended literally with, that portion of the episode ended with her literally taking a bite of the cookie, all evil and smug like. So I'm very curious to see what the fallout from that is going to be. Overall, I enjoyed it. It was a slower episode, for sure. And I think people got a little excited when they saw it was going to be like nearly an hour long, and then most of it was dedicated to Dr. Pershing. But I feel like this is probably going to be the most we see of him this season. We're going to maybe get like a little tidbit later on. It's like where like Moff Gideon's monologuing or whatever. He's like, I even had a sleeper agent erase Dr. Pershing's mind or something like that. It definitely is going to play in later, but I think this is probably going to be the most we're going to see of him throughout the whole rest of the season. And so instead of like stretching his story out throughout another 4 episodes where we constantly keep cutting back to him or whatever, I think they probably just decided, let's just get it all done in one go. And then we got the setup placed, and then we can get back to that when we're ready. And then that way we can focus. The next episode will be shorter, but we can focus on, blasters and explosions or something. I don't know. Because we know the next episode is called The Foundling, so that's maybe we're going to be where the Grogu Jedi Temple Order 66 flashback is going to be. Because we don't have enough of those. It's like Dave Filoni gets involved with the project. And they're like, hey, Dave, we've got ideas for this show. And he goes, okay, that's great. But can you include Order 66? And they're like, well, that doesn't really make sense for the story we're telling. It's like, I want you to include Order 66. And they're like, okay, we can figure out a way. And then they figure out a way. No, it's just funny that like every project he's been involved with the exception of like Resistance, has somehow included some sort of reference back to Order 66. I mean, it is this gigantic climactic moment it's probably like the number 2 most important event in galactic history in terms of the main era of Star Wars we're usually in, with the Skywalker saga and everything. It's like the destruction of Yavin and then Order 66. And even in terms of galactic history, I don't know, because of how monumental Order 66 is, I think it may even be more important than the Battle of Yavin in a lot of ways. Because, like, the Battle of Yavin was really that first big, the 2-1 punch of Scarif followed by the Battle of Yavin. That really was a big 2-1 punch of, oh, the Rebels have a chance here. So that's really important. But the fact that we even had to get to the point where we have a Rebel Alliance fighting an evil empire and everything is because of Order 66. So, I mean, it's one of the biggest historical moments in the entire galaxy. So the fact that they keep referencing it a lot, honestly, kind of, makes sense. It's like how nowadays, you can trace a lot of things back to like World War II or 9/11 or something. It's like this is such a big, um, game changer, big shift in how things operate immediately afterward. Yeah, so I thought this was a good episode. I enjoyed it. While definitely slower and not what people were expecting, what we did get, I think, was good. And I'm excited to see where the next episode goes. Hopefully, it's like I do hope it is a little more evenly split between like the Mandalorians and Grogu flashback or whatever. Because if the next episode is like 30 minutes of just a Grogu flashback and there's barely any Mando stuff in it, I will kind of a teensy bit go, okay, what the heck? It's like, can we please? Because I'm just so invested in the Bo-Katan story at this point that if I don't get like at least a little crumb, a little bit of something next episode, that I'm gonna be. It's like, so I gotta wait 2 weeks for more answers about Bo-Katan. You spent 30 minutes showing me Grogu flashbacks on Coruscant. We've, technically speaking, we're probably gonna get more answers, but we've known the general idea of what's going on here thanks to Book of Boba Fett. So meanwhile, Bo-Katan, that's fresh territory. We don't know where that's going. Please extrapolate on that, if you would, Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni. So, but no, I'm very interested to see where this keeps going. I'm really enjoying this season so far. I think it's really good. And we're only 3 episodes in. We still got like however many more. 8 minus 4? Because this week before, whatever. I'm bad at math. I'm tired. I'm my tongue's starting to get dried out from all the talking and stuff. So good episode. I liked it. I'm excited for next week. And I'll see you guys next week for another Mando Monday review. So thank you for watching. Remember to like, comment, subscribe, all that great stuff. Remember to follow me on Twitter and Instagram. Those links are, of course, in the description below. And I'll see you guys next time. Thank you so much for watching, and goodbye.